Breaking news, everybody. Pokrovsk has finally been taken by the Russian military. Although, if you've been following this channel for some time, or at least the past week, you know that Pokrovsk was already formally taken. I think the reason why they officially announced it yesterday, is because the Americans are in town. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But I think it's very... I think they held off on announcing that one until the Americans came to town. Americans, Witkoff, Kushner, they're on their phones as they're flying into Moscow, and they're like, "Oh, Putin's speaking. What is he?" Oh, they took another major strategic city that Zelensky's going to say they didn't actually take, and then in a week, Zelensky will come out, admit that it was taken, but he'll say that it was strategically irrelevant. All these cities, strategically irrelevant, right? Okay, so Pokrovsk has fallen. Putin visited the main HQ of the Russian Joint Group of Forces and had a briefing with the chief of the general staff, Gerasimov, and the top generals who are in command of the army groups. Main points being the initiative along the entire line of contact is in Russian hands. Russian soldiers must be supplied with everything they need for the winter campaign. Several important cities have been taken, which will serve as a springboard for future operations. Taking Pokrovsk will help Russian forces fulfill all objectives of the SMO. Russian forces have entered Goliopol. There's like 1,000 ways of pronouncing that city, I think. Apparently, it's like really a bad situation there right now in Goliopol. That is in the Zaporozhye direction. That is in the Dnepro direction. Bad situation in Goliopol right now. Southern part of Mirnograd has also fallen. We reported that yesterday. Ukrainians encircled in the northern part. Army Group East is advancing at a rapid pace in Dnepropetrovsk and Zaporozhye Oblast. I saw Mr. Soloviev was on the Dnepropetrovsk border, and he actually set foot in Dnepropetrovsk Oblast. As he was on the grounds this week reporting from the front line. So let's take a look at this. Pokrovsk, it's gone. Russians have taken Pokrovsk. We have video footage of the Russian soldiers who have displayed the flag in the center of Pokrovsk. Again, the media is still saying, well, Zelensky says Pokrovsk has not been lost. Zelensky said, where is Zelensky right now? I think Zelensky should be more concerned about losing his presidency to Zelensky or some other actor than losing Pokrovsk at this point. Ukraine has not acknowledged losing Pokrovsk. Well, if Zelensky hasn't said it, it must not be true. Not like he's lied about every single city they've lost throughout the duration of this conflict, and then he says that they're not strategically relevant after losing them. We have captured Ukrainian soldiers who are now on record, going on record in Pokrovsk. They are saying we were trained by black people and British people. They taught them how to clear houses, but they're aware that the Russians practically surrounded them. So that is what the Ukrainian soldiers who were captured have been saying now. Militants from the Azov group tried to slip out of Pokrovsk by disguising themselves in women's clothing. The commander of an assault unit from the 30th Motor Rifle Brigade told TASS. Now, there's another interesting story. I don't know if you guys remember. There was this major kerfluffle, if you want to call it that. There was a Ukrainian special forces extraction operation that was led, by these two helicopter groups that went into Pokrovsk some time ago. And there was a lot of speculation as to whether or not the extraction group was trying to extract some NATO commander, some high-level person, some high-level general, something like that. It turns out the biggest rumor right now is that it was not an extraction for a NATO officer or something to that effect. It turns out that the special forces units that flew in on these helicopters and was, by the way, intercepted by a Russian drone group. They took out the entire special forces team that tried to come in. It turns out that the Ukrainian special forces that entered into Pokrovsk by way of helicopter were there because there was an elite sniper and drone group of the Russian military. They had an elite drone and sniper group that was in and around Pokrovsk. And what ended up happening was, if the story's correct, if I remember correctly, the Russian sniper and drone group was trying to cut off the Ukrainian garrison from entering inside of the encircled area, and also obviously trying to prevent any troops that wanted to withdraw from withdrawing and going on the flanks and trying to dissolve the flanks, the Russian flanks. But they effectively failed. The special operations team failed. They did not make it back out. And as a result, Pokrovsk has now been taken entirely by the Russians. So that's what ended up happening there. Can't say I'm that surprised. And we also have news that, let me show you this. Let me go to the map here. We also have news that right here on the map, again, this is a Ukraine map, so it is a few days behind reality. Dobropilya has also had intrusions from the Russian forces, heavy intrusions from the Russian forces. So you've got Dobropilya, which now has Russian presence. You've got Mariupol, which is effectively going to turn into the next Pokrovsk, but arguably a much larger Pokrovsk, because as the Russians come in from the north, they will, I mean, if they're already here in Dobropilya and they're presumably moving out further west, a little bit further south, they will semi-encircle the Ukrainian troops in Mariupol, which then will lead the Russians eventually towards heading, the map is glitching out here, but heading towards Zaporozhye city and Dnipro further west on the river. So there you have that. Let's see if there's, this is kind of an interesting part of the whole story, and we'll end off on our Pokrovsk story here. The St. Michael's Church was left completely intact and preserved. Make of that what you will. I think it's a beautiful end to the story. I think it's beautiful considering that the Ukrainians have, they've blown up and lit on fire so many of these old historic monasteries and churches all across the front line. But St. Michael's Church remains fully intact. As you see, many of the surrounding buildings in Pokrovsk were significantly damaged or taken down to the ground. So there you have it. Pokrovsk now in Russian hands, and as Putin says, a springboard for future operations. Beautiful indeed. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.